Hi guys, welcome to Darren's Corner, and I've just wanted to give you some sort of ideas as to what I've got planned for my corner. So what we've got at this point is what I've done here is these are all of my notes that I've either took and I've made into videos, stuff that needs to be made into videos, and I've got other bits as well which I'm working on research wise. So in this box here, I've got a document box. You will find, if I can get it open, this box is falling apart. All of my notes from videos past. So these are the actual notes that I've got that made it into videos. So I always, when it comes to sorting trips out, because my travelling videos go deeper behind the meaning of just merely going out. So, for example, my tens bus challenge that I did, I've had to write down the notes so I know exactly what I'm doing and as to what I was talking about at that point. That was from a Battle of the Systems that I did a little while ago. And these are the notes that I took. You've seen these in the actual video, but these are my solving the impossible notes. This is one of the reasons as to why I look back at what I've done on my channel with the deepest sense of pride. So when all of my point A to B video ideas, started writing them down. Got 2 pages worth. I've got 50 ideas here, and then I put them into a to-do list. Good point, actually. Where did I put Emsworth to Petworth? I need to write that one. I need to write the complete date on that one. But I can always do that. Found it. Let me just quickly get a pen. When did I do Emsworth to Petworth? Let me just have a look. There was my first episode of Cosham to Bosham, the Point A to B Travels video. That was the notes I did for the finding the boundary stops in the Havant area. I didn't write down the notes for routes 1 to 5, but I did for 6 to 10. I didn't write my notes down for Emsworth to Petworth, unless I did, and they're over here. Yeah, I have 19th. I've done so much of these. Emsworth to Petworth, there we go. I've got another one of these planned at some point. So those are all the ideas of videos past. So the notes that did make it into video. I've got my little bag here. This is the one that I left behind in Barnsley. And in that, I've got notes that need to be made into videos. That one I'm doing on Saturday, where I go from London to Hastings. So I need to move that up. I've got that all written down. And actually, there's a bit of a history behind this one, and that is that railway book that railway book that you saw in one of my shorts videos, where this idea came from. Which one will get you there faster? And I've got a little bit of information to give you behind that. I've got 4 pens in here. Got my watch charger and a fast charger. That would be where my credit cards will sit, but then that's a different story altogether. I shall deal with them in a bit. I'm also working on some research for a very special video that I've got planned, celebrating 100 years of Portsmouth. So Portsmouth gained its city status in April 1926. And I thought, you know what, I'll just do a special video where I celebrate the 100 years of the very city I was born in. And I'm on page 3 at the moment. And you can expect some very interesting bits to take place in that very video itself. And there are some of the questions that I wrote down so I can research. Most of those, if not all of the ones that I've done so far, have gone into my notes. And then once I've done all that, I plan to put it into transcript, put it into like teleprompt. I've got an auto cue app. Speaking of auto cue, I do plan to bring my 2017 iMac back into the lounge, and that's just because then by doing that, I will be able to then just glance over and read off my notes, because I do have the tendency to go and ahhing when I'm trying to find something, when I'm trying to find what to say. So with that, I'm thinking if I use my second iMac, my 2017 iMac, I'll be able to then glance over and then have a look at my notes I might have written, so then I have a clue as to exactly what I'm talking about, and then I don't have to have the gaps of any ums and ers that may occur in any of my videos. Now I could just get straight to the point. And also I'm thinking about bringing my Mac OS 10 cupboard in here, so then that way I can then have some surface on that, and then you're about to see that in action, and then I wouldn't have to worry about resting it on the arm of a sofa. So there's some of the ideas that I've got, and also I've got a couple of smart cards. So this one is my LNER one, so I'd have thought about it. If I'd have thought about it, so I travelled first class on a Grand Central train with that. If I had that, I would have had some credits on that, because I didn't do an upgrade. I just bought the ticket direct. I bought it straight to first class, so that would have given me some quite a amount of credits on that. Well, next time I travel on an LNER train, so there will be plenty of times for that. Particularly, I do plan to go from somewhere like London to York on an LNER train. When I do that, I'll do that first class, and we'll see what surprises lie in store for me there. And also, I've got a key card for Southeastern, to which I can then load up to 5 tickets on here. And I've just also discovered that with that being said, I can just put them into my bag. more like a briefcase and a bag, but there we are. I can then put. I'm thinking I can put my Kent Rovers on there because I've had a look online on Southeastern as I was gathering together my train tickets to go from here up to London and then down to Hastings. And then with that being said, I thought to myself, let's see if I can get a Kent Rover. And then I need to speak to Southeastern that as well to see if it'll cover London. So the Southern Day Saver covers you to any any London stations the Southern train might visit. So that would be London Victoria and London Bridge. And then with that being said, you've got 4 London stations, well, 5 if you count the HSTs, that a Southeastern train would cover. So you've got your usual London Victoria and London Bridge, but you also get Southeastern trains to Waterloo East. So when you come off at Waterloo, London Waterloo, the main station, and you go over up the escalator, and then there was another set of ticket barriers. You scan your ticket, you end up in the Southeastern managed Waterloo East. Their platforms are lettered instead of numbered, and they're not counted. They are not counted with the platforms at Waterloo Main, because although they're in the same area, because they're literally just a walk over a bridge apart of each other, they are technically 2 different stations. Now, Southeastern along the Waterloo East line covers you all the way to Kent, whereas with SWR it covers you Surrey, Hampshire and Dorset, and to a certain extent to Devon as well, Exeter St David's. So you got that, but then the thing that I was thinking of, going back to Southeastern, is would I be able to use a Kent Rover to go into London to do Waterloo East, Charing Cross and London Bridge and London Victoria? And another question I'm going to ask as well is, does it cover the HST, the high-speed train that takes you from London St Pancras down to anywhere in Kent? I hope it does, because it would be a good idea to then just do that upwards. I've got a video planned where I do the international stations, visit the international stations that are on the Kent line. So would be Ashford International, Ebbsfleet International, Stratford International and St Pancras International. That's how Julie Berry says it, because you list all the international stations in one go. Ashford International becomes an in and out for that, and then you go, there's Ashford International, Ebbsfleet International, Stratford International, St Pancras International. And I saw that route as I made my way from St Pancras down to Gravesend. I liked it in Gravesend. When I did the Platform Zero videos, I might do a revisit of that for Daren's Corner yet. Only time will tell. Be staying up for 3 nights, mind you, like I did before. But it was absolutely worth it. I may also, hopefully, have someone rather special with me to take part in this journey. We can only find out. But we just got to keep an eye on this Platform Zero at Stockport. It's being refurbished at the moment, where the building leading up to it is being refurbished. But with that being said, there are some of my ideas that I've got lined up. and they will soon come into fruition. Oh, and just before I forget, I've still got to try this little beauty out. This came with a 1 gigabyte micro SD card. I happen to replace it with my 64. And this is a full 3 bars. But yeah, I've got to definitely give this a try. Do like a little experiment with that. Pop that there for a moment. And then I'll have a look at planning some other bits as well. But I do want to try and get my number of notes down from this bag and into my video archives before I research anything else. Chances are I'm going to do a load more researching before I even get to do any of these videos, but there we are. Also, later on down the line, stay tuned for a very exciting challenge where I go around and visit all the places on a Monopoly board. So that'll be coming soon as well. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.